Welcome back, everyone. I'm Guy Dunn, and this is Network to Net Worth, the podcast where we explore how one relationship, one introduction, one strategic connection can transform your business and your life. Today's episode is extra special because I'm sitting down with someone I've known for over 15 years. We've watched each other's businesses grow, celebrated wins together, and navigated challenges side by side. And let me tell you, this guy knows how to build relationships that matter. He's the founder of Success Team Marketing Group, a digital marketing powerhouse that has been helping businesses dominate online for over 2 decades. He's also the creator of the Seven Figure Path, a consulting community that's helping entrepreneurs break through the barriers holding them back from seven figure success. Um, but before the digital marketing empire, before the consulting community, before the success stories, there was a high school kid selling supplements and figuring out that entrepreneurship was his calling. Please welcome to Network to Net Worth, my good friend, Greg Russell.
Oh man, God, thank you so much for that warm introduction. I appreciate it, man. You took me back with that one, but I appreciate it.
Greg, man, it's great to have you here. And let's just get right into it. So, Greg, we've known each other for a long time, over 15 years, maybe longer. Time flies when you're grinding, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, I want to take our listeners back to the beginning, before Success Team, before Seven Figure Path, before you became the digital marketing expert everyone comes to. You started your entrepreneurial journey in high school selling supplements. Take us back to that moment. What sparked that entrepreneurial fire so early?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was actually before that. My first business I started at age 12.
Wow.
Um, and as a young person, I was very not curious. I was very aware of the things that were going on around me and my life. And so at a very early age, I realized that my parents who worked jobs. My father was a truck driver. My mother worked at a hospital. Um, Very early, I learned that I didn't have the same type of toys and same type of things that my other friends had. And when I went to my friend's house, I learned that their parents didn't have jobs. Their parents owned businesses. And so early on, really early, I recognized that having a job is okay, but having owning a business gives you more freedom and more. At the time it was just more toys, and it was like as I got older I realized, well, it's more than the toys, it's the lifestyle and what's the kind of lifestyle you want. So for me, it started at a very young age where I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have the freedom that entrepreneurship provided, and I knew that at a very young age, and that's what started my uh
Started you down the
entrepreneur
path.
vision. Yeah. Yep.
Who were your first customers? Your friends, family, athletes? When did
So
you really start pushing that?
So what happened was my mother was concerned about me reading because I didn't like to read. I was
Mhm.
I was of the TV generation, right? I wanted to watch television. I didn't care about reading no books. And she was really concerned, and so she kept trying to put things in front of me to read. She'd get me comic books, I wasn't interested. She'd give me books, I wasn't interested. And then one day she put a book in front of me like, how to make money from home, 7 ways, and it was like a magazine style type booklet. And I read it from cover to cover, and so she realized, aha, that's what's getting them. Not only did I read it, but I started my first business from this booklet, and it was putting together a coupon directory for local businesses.
Wow.
And so if you ever got Valpak, it was like doing that for local businesses. And so for me to do this, I actually had to go out and try to solicit businesses to sign up for uh my coupon directory.
Oh, that's cool.
um yeah. Another one that I tried, that I did have some success with, it was selling it. Now this is going to date me, but just deal with it. I was doing COD, which is cash on
Mhm.
demand, and we were selling these manuals through the mail. So the thing was, you'd advertise in the Penny Saver magazine. People would order the magazines, and then back then UPS would go up to them with their package and exchange a package for cash on delivery,
Mhm.
right? COD. And so I sold several books this way through running ads and having people, pay for cash on delivery, and then I would get a check from UPS. And so that was one of the first ones that I actually received money with.
Wow, you were like running. You did things that most people would be afraid to do, but also, I
Yeah, and
mean, you
this
had early
and
success.
yeah, and this well, I lost money on it, but I got to see a check.
Yeah, really. Well, that
uh,
that always helps, right? Seeing that check come
yeah,
in the mail is like, okay, all right. So,
yeah, and so I did all of this before high school.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Let's fast forward from high school. You launched Success Team Marketing Group. This is in the early days of digital marketing. And I knew you back then because that was when we were doing the GKIC stuff and everything else. Um, when when people were still figuring out what digital marketing was, what SEO even meant, what social media was, when social media was just getting started, how did you see the opportunity when so many other people's missed it or they didn't even see it yet?
you know, this entrepreneurial journey is a challenging one. A lot of people sell the laptop lifestyle. Be on the beach with your laptop, make millions, and some of that is you can be on the laptop on the beach, but to get there, they don't tell you what it takes to get there. And so for me, the stories about those two business ventures when I first got started, um, they ultimately failed. I was in, my investor was my mom.
Mhm,
My time to run the business full time was during the summers. And when either the bank of mom said that's enough, what I'm saying, then
mhm.
everything changed. And so there was a number of years of trial, error, and struggle before Success Team. And those years built the foundation of what it took to make Success Team a success. So when you're like, what happened when, did during those times, and how did I do it? It was just because I just wasn't willing to give up. I wasn't willing to stop. I didn't want to have a job, and that meant I had to stay with it until it succeeded. And I had the attitude of, I'm going to either do this till it's successful or I'm going to die trying.
Yep.
Like it
Yep.
was like for me, it was like it's like I had a job. I didn't like it. I didn't like it to the point where I'd rather do anything else, including suffer, than do that. That was me. Not everybody has that. And so when it came to, those times before, it was quite a few years of struggle to get it before it success. Not everybody's willing to take that long. Not everybody takes as long as I did, but not everybody started as young as I did either.
Right.
So for me, it was just a matter of staying with it long enough for it to finally be successful.
Right. I understand that. I mean, I've been entrepreneur my whole life and I've been through ups and downs and the wins and losses and all those things, the time it takes, and even, when people would say, what the heck are you doing and why are you doing it? Okay. Um, Building a digital marketing agency requires two things. You got to know your stuff, but also you got to build relationships with clients who trust you with their business. Talk about those early client relationships. How did networking play a role in building Success Team?
So um, Success Team was built because of several key relationships. Um, in struggling, uh, my mom decided to go into real estate, and I decided to go into digital marketing. And my mom said, "Greg, I need a website," and so I built her website um, to the best of my ability at that time.
Mhm.
And at that time, we're talking about the early '90s, mid '90s, right? Mid '90s, yeah. Um, I built something called a capture page, and I called it a capture page. And I had hired a developer in Central America and Brazil to create a form that would capture um, their information. But if they've been to that form, before and they entered their information, it would allow them into the website. So it was the first versions of a landing page, right?
Mhm.
Of what they call now a squeeze page. Um, my terminology for it was capture page because we were capturing information. I don't
Right.
know where squeeze came from because you're not squeezing anything. But anyway, long story short, it was a capture page. It captured their information and it let them see the information for my mom's real estate. So it was like, hey, if you have this problem with your house, enter your information and we'll give you all this information. So they enter their information, and it set cookies and track certain things so that if they came there again, it would just let them in and they wouldn't have to opt in again. Back then, there weren't a lot of cell phones, right? So typically only had one or two computers, their main computer or their office computer, but it was the one that they did all their stuff from. It wasn't multiple devices like it is today. So that capturing allowed them, when they came back to the site, just let them right in. And so to get to the relationship part, my mother showed this website to the person she was learning real estate from her real estate coach. And that coach asked if I would build him a website. And this is the key relationship here. So I decided, I knew she was in a class. I knew she was about 15 other people in the class. And I said, I will build you a website and not even charge you anything if you allow me to market my websites to your students, because those 15 other people would invest in the website, right? Because it was the website that fit with what he was teaching. Like
His
they would need
model.
one
Yeah.
to, right? And so he was like, yes, that works. And from that relationship, he had this real estate class that he taught 3 or 4 times a year. And so 3 or 4 times a year, I would get to go pitch and promote my website to his students with his endorsements 3 or 4 times a year. And that relationship is what got me started. So it wasn't just advertising or trying to find people. It was that one relationship that consistently got me new clients.
Excellent.
And he was also on the board of the National Real Estate Investors Association. And so he made a connection. He was on the board. So when that organization was looking for a website, he reached out to me and said, hey, Greg, National RIA is looking for a website. Maybe you should put a bid in. And long and behold, not only did I put a bid in, but I won. And that one relationship turned into a relationship with a national organization that got me clients all across the country.
Amazing. That's great. That's a great story. And that's what this is all about, man. Your mother connected you with somebody. I mean, your mother, yeah, you did her site, connected you with this guy that she's learning from, and you did the smart thing to say, I'll give it to you free if you get me in front of your network. And there you go. It just definitely, things like that happen all the time. But most people weren't as smart as you, where you said, okay, I'll give you the freebie so I can get the big connection. Right. And that
Well,
makes sense.
yeah.
But that's entrepreneurial learning. That's not just networking. You learned over time that you have to give away some things to be able, the lost leader. You had to give the lost leader for you to be able to take advantage of the opportunities. That's a great story, man. Greg, and
The relationship goes further because then the relationship, I have another story about another key relationship because of National RIA. If you want to talk
no, go
about
ahead.
the
Yeah, yeah,
relationship.
that's what we're
Okay,
talking
cool.
about, man.
I want to make
Great.
sure I'm in alignment with where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
So I had this relationship with National RIA, and I was building these websites, and there came a point where they needed more features, and I didn't have the features, and I was buying certain pieces to put together, and then so I came across this. I started looking, and there were certain companies that had all the pieces in one system, and so um, I picked up the phone and I called or emailed back then, I don't know. But long story short, I asked, I said, hey, would you be open to a partnership? Because I have all of these clients that need your system and I'm not just trying to give them to you. Can we work out a partnership? And this company, which is no longer functioning, but at the time it was called Memberize, and they had a membership system. And so we worked out a deal where I would build the front end website for them, and then the Memberize would be on the back end. And so my relationship with the owner of that company was because I called and asked. I said, hey, would you be open to a relationship? I got these clients, you got this system, or, can we put something together? So we put something together. We gave it a different name, and National RIA promoted it, and I did all the training for it. So I took the support away from them,
Mhm.
which was the part they were like, hey, and they made, everybody made money on the deal. And that is what took us to the next level, because now we had hundreds of clients all across the country.
Wow, and that was kinda
And
like one of the first, white label kind of platform, white label deals because you took their system and put it behind yours and just took it over. That's great. Cool stuff,
yeah, yeah,
man.
man. And because of that, one of the guys who was a tech guy who I was speaking with at one of their conferences, because they would bring me to their conference um, every year, and he ended up being, he was from Philadelphia chapter, and he wrote a book with Mr. Mike Capuzzi. And
Mhm.
so at that National RIA conference, he was like, "Hey, Greg, I wrote this book." And I was like, "Get out of here! You ain't writing no book." And he shared the book with me. And he's like, "Yeah, man, we meet in Philadelphia. Maybe you can come out." And that is how, because of National RIA and speaking at that conference, is how I connected with the Philadelphia chapter GKIC, in which where I met you. So that's
So
his
it comes
connection,
full
bro.
circle, right? Cool
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
That's excellent, man. That the stories are what make us live, man. Um, let's talk about the seven-figure path. You went from running a
Okay.
successful marketing agency to creating a consulting community specifically designed to help entrepreneurs reach seven-figure success, right?
Yes,
What
sir.
made you decide to make that move? And what gap were you seeing in the market that made that like something that you wanted to do?
So, um, being doing membership sites and tech and dealing with marketers um, across the country, I had other networking opportunities that got me in front of different people in different industries. And one of the ones that I worked with quite a lot was with coaches and consultants who needed the tech built out for their background. And being involved with these coaches, and then some of them sometimes putting me in front of their clients to do their tech, I was able to see where there were gaps in their programs, um, where people weren't getting to certain levels, and I could understand why. And so it was like, for a long time people would see me as just the tech guy, right? um, and I realized when I really started helping people that I could help people, not only as well as some of these coaches, but sometimes I could help them achieve stuff faster. And so what I realized, a lot of people wanted the type of success to get to seven figures. I mean, if we look at Russell Brunson's Two Comma Club, like, people are winning awards every year, and that seven figure was, a goal that a lot of the entrepreneurs in the circles that I ran wanted to achieve.
Mhm.
And so I realized there were just pieces missing to getting to that. And there wasn't a specific way to do it, right? Everybody had all these different ways, all these different, marketing strategies. There was, running ads, there was doing challenges, there was doing, this strategy and that strategy. But a lot of times people miss the mark because of certain key elements to get to seven figures. And so what I did was I decided to put together a program that would give people the exact pieces they needed to hit seven figures. And so, with prayer and several conversations with my wife, I decided to put together the seven figure path. And it was not only was it a challenge, but it was a challenge for me, to be able to be like, I can help you do this. And so we put it together, we launched it, and people are loving it.
People are loving it. That's great.
Yes,
Good
sir.
stuff, man. And when you're building a consultant community, you're not just selling a service, you're building a tribe, a movement. How did networking help you attract the right people to the seven-figure path?
Well, dude, the connections all came from the connections I had before. Like, in that same networking group that you and I went to with
Mhm.
GKIC, I met Kim Walsh Phillips, who's a consultant coach. Um, and in that other real estate group, I met others in the real estate industry who became key players who had coaching programs. And so it was through them that their relationship with me is where I was able to figure out exactly what was missing and what I could bring that would allow people to be successful.
Excellent. And I do remember in GKIC that um, the people you were the tech guy, so it was easy for you to be able to rub shoulders, but also be recognized as the guy to see when it comes to technology in that arena. So it made it easy. And I'm curious, what was the most common obstacle you see preventing entrepreneurs from reaching the seven-figure mark? And does it come down to the people, or is it actually really the stuff that they're not doing?
A combination of both, right? A lot of times, people who have already started businesses, their model, they their business model doesn't support the numbers, right? So, for example, if someone has a coaching program and they only want to charge 2 to 3K, and they only want to have 15 to 20 people in it for this many weeks, is like if you filled it up and you did it every single time, you still would only make this. Your model doesn't allow you to get to the number you want to get to, right? So sometimes the model and the numbers have to be able to get you to that point if that's what you want. The other time, all those years starting for so young and going through the things I went through and going through the trainings that I went to, a lot of times I learned things about personal development and how to work on yourself that some entrepreneurs didn't get, right? So it's like if your if your business systems are here and your offer is here, but you are down here, those three things have to be in alignment, right? You, your systems, and your offer, they all have to be in alignment
Mhm.
so that you can get to that level. And so if you're not up there because you either haven't taken the time to do the personal development, or you just were never exposed to it, or just you were just too busy, right? Then a lot of times entrepreneurs will self-sabotage and not even know it. And it's because they haven't taken the time to develop themselves to be able to handle certain pressures, certain situations, right? And so that personal development is key for you to be at a certain level to take your business to a certain level.
And I'm assuming that's part of the training that you work with when you have your uh, the seven-figure mindset. You basically set and that's really the key word. The seven-figure mindset has to be in place for you to have your seven-figure business to work for you, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Yes, sir. And it's interesting because I have, through networking, have met people who were able to um, donate some trainings to help people get to that level. So it's really exciting to have access to training and coaching that people can take part of that can help them get to that level if they're not at that level they need to be at.
Cool.
And the thing about the personal development is like it's not a like you get to a certain level. It's like it's something you always have to do, right?
Right.
Because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? You got to
Mhm.
always be working on yourself.
Oh yeah,
Um,
lifelong learning is
life,
important, right?
yeah, lifelong learner. Got to always be putting in the work on your personal development. And most people, and not most people, some entrepreneurs do not realize that, right? So they think if they went through, one course, they got it. Like, yeah, I did my personal development. I'm good. Now I need the systems and the tools. It's like, all right, here's the systems and tools. And why isn't it working? Well, all right,
And is it
these three things have
need
to
to
be in
take place?
alignment. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to switch gears for a second. I've known you long enough to know that your faith and your family are central to everything you do. You're married to Tiffany,
Yes, sir.
and you got your daughter Sydney, and your faith in God has been a guiding force. How do you balance building a business empire with being present for the people who matter most?
How do I build a business empire and be present for the people that matter most? So for me, my business model is built around giving me freedom.
Okay.
Like I'm very clear about what I want, right? and I'm very clear about what I want to do and when I'm very clear about what I don't want to do, right? I've probably been on social media for a long time, like longer than most, because I was one of the early adopters, right?
Hmm.
And it's funny because some people get mad because, like, you don't post every day. No, it's not something I really want to do. I don't want to be posting every day. As a business owner, should you be posting? Yes, you should. Um, but at the end of the day, does that equal time with my family and money in my pocket? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It depends on your strategy and your model. I built my model where I don't have to do that if I don't want to still be successful, right?
Hmm.
And so I built my business model around what I really, really wanted, right? And so my business model is focused on reoccurring revenue. So if I sell something one time, I keep getting paid for it over and over and over, but I do the selling and the work one time and I get money over and over and over again. A lot of people have the challenge because they approach entrepreneurship with a job mentality.
Mm.
I'm gonna do these things and then I get these things. They don't approach it with an investor mentality. Let me get this thing that will generate things for me so that I don't have to do things all the time.
Yep, an asset that produces revenue all the time.
Yes. So, the cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki had the four quadrants. And he talked about which one are you? And most fail to get to that investor level. Well, I built my business structure around reoccurring revenue so that if I had the thing that produces the reoccurring revenue, I just had to make sure I had and maintained the thing, which takes very little amount of my time. My business model allowed me to help my daughter with her acting career, take our whole family to New York for 7 months, right? While my daughter was on Broadway. So it's like the business has to support if you want, not the other way around.
Right. No, that's amazing. And that's a blessing to be able to be in that position. But you put yourself in that position intentionally because you knew what you wanted. Uh,
Well, yes.
I
Let me
mean,
show you how I
and it's
got
not
there.
always easy to make those decisions, I'm sure.
So, early on when I was struggling, I remember very, very, very clearly when things shifted for me. And after struggling from 12 years old all the way until my mid 20s, early 30s, finally had a little bit of success, right? We finally started doing $30,000 a month. Um, at the time, I was living in my mother's basement, and we got the business finally making money, right?
Mhm.
And then we were over $30,000 a month in income. And then the company, one of the main products we were selling, this is nutritional supplement at the time, they decided to take the product away from us.
Mm.
And within 4 months, we went from doing 30 plus $1,000 in sales to zero. 4 months, it just went straight down,
Wow.
like gone. And it was that time that I said, what's missing from my life? And, a lot of times that was one of them critical moments where contemplating quitting was one of the times, like, I don't know if I want to do this. This is not,
Mhm.
it took me all this time to get here, years. And then now I'm not trying to go back. And so I was like, all right, but I took responsibility. I said, okay, what's missing in my life? What did I do or have not done that allowed me to be in this position? And for me, I realized that, I was focusing on everything else except my faith.
Mhm.
And so I said, okay, okay, maybe this was a wake up call. Maybe this was the Lord trying to get my attention. Right. And I was like, and he got it.
There you go.
he got it.
It can
And
wake up
so
real
from
quick, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay. So I said, let me figure this out. Let me make him the center of my life, right? And since at the time, the most important thing to me, kind of was the business, it was like, all right, for me, my prayer was, would you be my business partner and guide every decision, right? I want to sacrifice this business over to you and you be my partner.
Mhm.
That was my prayer, right? And so from there, things shifted and things changed, right? So for me, that question of, you know, how do you build a business? I built the business around the things I really wanted, which was freedom and the ability to allow my wife um, and children to be able to pursue the things they want. That's what I wanted the business to do for me. And so I built a business that would allow me to do that. And I did it with the faith that I would share my faith with people and in my business that I came across.
Right. Like the song says, order my steps, Lord, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. One thing I'd like to touch on, because you opened the door. Your daughter Sydney has made a name for herself as an actor. Broadway. I remember the video that you sent out when she was at Disney. I think that was her first really how she got exposed. In the spirit of this podcast being about connections and networks, how much of her success would you say came from the relationship and network you've already built versus her own hustle and talent, or something else that, you connected with somebody? And what advice did you give her about building her own network in such a competitive industry?
A
That's a
good
loaded
question, bro.
question, bro.
I like the way you form it. That's a that's a good one. Um, wow. So with Sydney, it's a lot on her own, right? Um, and she did the dance that went viral. I just recorded it. Um, my wife handles 90% of her social media. Um, but the connections were hard because when you first starting out before going viral in Disney, we took her to see The Lion King when it was touring here in Houston, and when she saw the little girl on stage, she said, "Is that a little girl?" And we're like, "Yes." And she said, "Mommy, I want to do that." And so
Wow.
we put her in children's theater, and she excelled. And then she said, "I want to do it for real." So then we put her in community theater, and she excelled. Um, and we were always searching for how to get it going. And so there was one particular conversation. It was me with my wife and my daughter in the car, and we said, "Hey, if you really want to do this, we will support you." So my wife is a singer, and my wife is a singer, and her her path um, she wasn't able to go as far as she really wanted to.
Okay.
And what she wanted to do was make sure that um, her child would have the opportunity to go as far as she wanted to. And with me, I'm the same thing. I'm like, listen, this, if you have an opportunity, take advantage of it. If that's what you want to do, if you want something, go get it. And so we had this conversation about, if you really want to do this, we'll support you. And she was 6 or 7 at the time. We explained, if this is what you want, then there's going to be times where you're going to have to do things you don't want. There's going to be sacrifices you're going to have to make to do this. So if you're willing to make those sacrifices, and that means there's going to be times we ask you to do something and you're not going to want to do it, but you're going to need to do it, will you be willing to do it even though you don't want to? Right? And she was like, yes. And we was like, okay. So we're going to support you, but this is on you. And she has been really good about being, you know, faithful to that. Like when the times came where she didn't feel like something, was like, hey, remember? She was like, okay, and she
I
and
mean, well,
she'd hop back into
but
it.
that's huge for somebody at 6 and 7 years old to be able to have one, that level of forethought, but also that level of commitment. And we all know that uh, the amount of commitment it takes, you know, being an actor, being an athlete, being a gymnast, all those, the long hours, the thing, like you said, doing the things that you don't want to do, but know that if you want to be successful, you have to do. So obviously, she had what it takes, but I can honestly believe that it's because, one, you have a serious drive in you that pushed you when you were 12 and younger, and your wife being a singer who saw in her daughter some of what she wanted to do, and she said, I want to make sure that my daughter, and it's just like we all do, we want to make sure that our children could do the things that we couldn't do. So that's
Yeah.
great. let me ask you, what's the
Yeah.
proudest moment you've had watching her career develop?
There's so many. Um, I'll tell you the one that everybody can see. So the viral video that when she was that really got everyone's attention. So if you haven't seen it, you can Google Sydney, spelled just like the city, dance, Disney, those three words, and it will be one of the first ones you see. And the video is she's dressed up like Princess Tiana. The band is playing, and she started dancing. Sydney dances all the time, and the photo pass photographer came, took her arm, and took her in front of the crowd, and she started dancing in front of the crowd, and that's what we put. But I when she started dancing, before any of that happened, I started recording, and when she's being taking in front, there's a point where you can see the fear hit her because she's realizing what's going to happen, and then it's real subtle, but you see her right, and that's her saying, "I got this," right.
That's amazing.
And so that's one of the proudest moments because it's like, people will at times in their lives, be presented with opportunities, and whatever the opportunity is, then, you will naturally get some fear typically, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Before you speak on stage, before you like, whatever, you get some fear. Um, but to be able to do it and tell yourself, I got this before you get on, before you do the thing. And so me seeing that is one of the proudest moments
Cool.
in her career.
That's great, man. That's a wonderful thing, and I applaud your commitment to your family and just the success that you guys have had as a family because it's important to just add that as we all want success. Success is not about money all the time. Success is about having the life that you want and having the life that you can do the things that you want to do with your family.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
you built your career in a digital space, so you understand better than most how technology has changed networking. We got LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook groups, Zoom calls, but we also got this weird paradox where we're more connected than ever, but maybe less connected in more meaningful ways. So, what's your take on just how society and social media and technology has changed the way we as a people connect and stay connected?
You know, um, I think that like Facebook, for example, allows you to find, like, if you moved away from an era. So let me talk about me. When I was a child, I moved away from my, well, I moved from Ohio to New York. And so that move, I left one school and I left a lot of friends. And back then we didn't have social media. So there was no way to stay connected. Um, but now some of us have been able to find each other on Facebook from even when we were, really young. And so I think that is one thing that allows you to be more connected, right? Because you can find people that you may not have been able to find if the technology didn't exist, right?
Mhm.
Or much harder if today's technology didn't exist. But you have to use it and respect it, right? And so a lot of times, just because you can connect with way more people, don't mean you should, right? And I think that the thing about networking is it's not a numbers game. To me, it's who are the key people who can change the trajectory of your business, and what are you willing to do to establish a relationship with them, right? And so early on for me, it was like, hey, I'll build a website for you for free if I can get in front of your students, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
For me, it was reaching out to a complete business, fearing that I may lose my clients to that business, right? Because they had the systems that I didn't. But being able to be like, hey, can we partnership and risk? My concern on that phone call was risking losing the business to these people, right? So sometimes it's a risk, but it's recognizing the relationships that can change the trajectory of your business, and being able to try to establish a relationship and be willing to fail. Because there's been times where there was people who I was like, oh, this would be a perfect relationship, and in my eyes it was great, but for them it was like, nah, I don't need that, I don't want that, right? I just not, maybe they had a bad experience, right, or something like that. But so it's not necessarily by connecting with a whole lot of people per se, it's connecting with the right people and using the technology that is available to us to do so.
Got you. And when you're advising a client or a member of the seven figure path, what's your recommendation for balancing digital networking and face to face relationship building? I mean, obviously you're a advisor to a lot of people and a lot of businesses. So how do you help them recognize the way that it makes the most sense for them? And is it individual, or is it just this is what we all should do?
I wish it was, man. I wish it was. This is what we all should do. Step A, step B. Now it's not like that. It's more of what fits for your business and what fits for your personality, right? Personal, you know, live in person connection is nothing gonna be more powerful than that. So if you can, and it's to your benefit, then go to conferences, go to events, host conferences, host events, get in front of real people when you can, right? The other times, the technology makes it convenient. Like, it takes gas and hotels and foods and time to go to an event. If you go to an event, there's the time that you're not in the event, you're still away from your family and all that stuff. Um, so you can use technology in places where you can have virtual meetings, virtual events, and that's great because when the meeting is over, you're home, right, or
Mhm.
at your office or something like that. You don't have the travel and stuff like that. So I think the best advice that I have is to use both to your advantage, right? So again, it's about meeting the right people that can help you and your business and doing what it takes. If that means you got to get to a conference or you got to hold conferences or seminars, then you do the things that will propel you and your business forward. And if you can, supplement some of those things virtually, then you can do that. One of the things, another uh, networking connection that I met someone at a live physical event. Um, it was a training event. I was learning how to connect more with people, and I
Okay.
met several people at this event. And then the pandemic happened, and one of the people that I met at that event, we decided to do a virtual conference, and we created a subdivision of our company for just running virtual events during the pandemic. But again, it was because of the connection I made it at a physical event that led to me running virtual events with someone I met at a physical event. So use both to your advantage.
Got you. Great. Um, Looking at your own network, Greg, who is someone who doesn't get enough credit for helping you get to where you were today? The unsung hero of your journey.
That's easy. That's my mom.
Okay, that's
That's my
cool.
mom. And the second one would be my wife,
Man,
right?
now you're pulling the heartstring. And you get a bunch of credit. You gotta say, here, look at this video. This is what I said.
So my mom, um, we started doing this entrepreneur thing, and she got me into it. And, from that book then we started joining several network marketing companies, and she was a salesperson for an insurance company. So she knew how to sell. And so she taught me how to sell. And so, if there's one thing that can help you is learning, no matter what business it is, if you learn how to sell, you'll be much better off. And selling is different from marketing. That's why it's called marketing and it's why it's called sales. Those are
Right.
two separate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole nother lesson for another podcast. But listen, uh,
Um,
yeah, and so my mom helped me really get started and have the entrepreneur vision. My wife, she allowed me to excel to the next level. She does all the behind the scenes bookkeeping and accounting, and dealing with the finances. So she, there's that part of the business that has to be done. That's critical for the business, and she's behind the scenes. Does that? She doesn't want to be in front of the camera. She doesn't want to be out front.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the other things that are critical,
She's
um,
there.
she handled it.
Cool. That's great, man. All right. So we're heading into the home stretch. I want to have some fun with you. What I like to do is a rapid fire round, just top of the mind answers. I'm going to just shoot some questions at you. I need you to give me some answers. Okay.
Okay, let's
Best
do it.
networking event you ever attended.
Ah, May. Let me see. Networking. Hold on. Okay, there was the best event I went to for me personally. Then there was the best one for networking. That networking would have to be the GKIC event that I went to monthly or every other month, where I met you
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and Kim and other people I'm still doing business with today, like Mike Capuzzi. Yes,
Excellent. I got to reach out to Mike. I like him. He's a great guy. Worst networking mistake you ever made.
trying to approach a speaker in the bathroom.
Okay.
There's the only chance I was like, he's available. Is this
Right. Say,
anyway?
can
Yeah.
you let me let go?
It
um,
wasn't at that point, but still, yeah.
One book every entrepreneur should read about networking or building relationships.
I don't know if it's specifically about networking or building relationships, but it would be Chet Holmes, um, the ultimate sales system, the ultimate sales machine. Chet Holmes' ultimate sales machine.
Okay. Cool. All right. Coffee meeting, phone call, or DM. What's your favorite way to start a connection?
DM.
Okay. Biggest networking myth you wish people would stop believing.
Networking myth?
Or biggest
I don't know.
the biggest thing that people think that they should be doing about networking that just doesn't hold water.
I think that one of the myths that I think that people have is that um, by trying to reach a whole lot of people, um, by I think the myth is that you have to connect with a whole lot of people. And I think the reality is you need to connect with a few key people,
The right people. Yep.
the right people.
If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, to talk about business, networking, or whatever, who would it be?
Um, it would be Chet Holmes.
Okay. One piece of advice for someone who's uncomfortable with meeting people and sharing their dream.
Uncomfortable meeting people,
Mhm.
recognize that you're uncomfortable and do it anyway. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's just not okay to not do it.
I hear you.
Right. So remember, I got this.
Yep, I got
That's what
this.
it's all about. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is a part of it. Uncomfortable is the signal that you need to do it anyway. When you feel uncomfortable, that's the sign to say that's the trigger. That's the sign. That's the bat signal. That's say, okay, you feel this. All right, we're gonna do this. When you feel that, that's the sign to tell you to go.
Right. Well, I always believe if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not growing, because that's
Yeah.
with being uncomfortable, that's where growth becomes. I mean, that's where growth comes. What's the most unexpected place you ever made a valuable business connection?
Huh, that's a good one. Um, there's like listen, for me, it can happen anywhere, any place. So I made a connection at the grocery store one time.
Hmm.
Like, my mom, I'm not in business mode. I'm in figure out, I need these things. There's on my list. I'm like, hey, let me get in, get the stuff and get out. So one of the weirdest places was the grocery store.
Cool. And the last one, fill in the blank. My network is my blank.
My network is my life, man. Without those connections, I wouldn't have the freedom or the business that I have.
Cool. And I love it, Greg. All right, final question. And this is a big one. If someone is listening right now, I want to build a 7-figure business. I want to scale. I want to do this the right way. What's the one thing they should do today, right now? What's the first step?
They want to build a 7-figure business the right way.
Mhm.
The first thing they should do is pray.
Great answer. That's a great answer, man. Well, Greg, this has been awesome. I know I've known you for 15 years and I still learn some new things today. And that's the power of asking the right questions, I guess. Um,
Yes, sir.
Before we wrap up, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Success Team Marketing Group, or check out the 7-figure path, where can they find you?
They can find me at askgregrussell.com. 2 S's, 2 L's. Askgregrussell.com.
Okay. Perfect. Folks, that's Greg Russell, digital marketing expert, 7-figure path creator, and living proof that the right relationships can take you from a high school supplement hustle to a multi-million-dollar empire. Greg, thanks for being here, brother. All right, everyone. That's a wrap of this episode, Network to Net Worth. I'm your host, Guy Dunn. And if you got value from this conversation with Greg Russell, here's what I want you to do. Reach out to someone in your network today, someone you haven't talked to in a while, someone who helped you to get where you are. Say thank you, reconnect, and you never know what opportunities may come from that one conversation. And remember, your network isn't just about what people can do for you, it's about what you can do for each other. It's about building genuine relationships that create value on both sides. That's how Greg built Success Team. That's how he created the 7-figure path. And that's how you'll build whatever comes next for you. Be sure to subscribe to Network to Net Worth so you don't miss our next episode. And if this one resonated with you, share it with an entrepreneur who needs to hear it. Also, let me know if you like it and how I'm doing. We all need encouragement to make sure that we're on the right path. Until next time, keep networking, keep growing, and keep building your net worth one relationship at a time. This is Guy Dunn. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a great one.